Okay, she couldn't read. And how'd that make her feel, Brittany?
She made her feel like dumb because other people laughed at her.
Right,
Every time she read.
Right, they laughed at her when she read. She was still on like the easiest book, and everybody else that was getting better and better at reading, but she was still the same. And what did her grandma say about her? Well, yes, she did that. But Sinae, what did her grandma say about her?
Her grandma said that she's not dumb, that she's smart and sweet, and that she's fine as the way she is.
Great job. All right. So reading was just plain torture. When Sue Ellen read her page, or Tommy Bob read his page, they read so easily that Trisha would watch the top of their heads to see if something was happening to their heads that wasn't happening to hers. And numbers were the hardest thing of all to read. She never added anything right. Line the numbers up before you add them, the teacher would say. But when Trisha tried, the numbers looked like a stack of blocks, wobbly and ready to fall. Let's put that in our pocket right now. She just knew she was dumb. Then, one day, her mother announced that she had gotten a teaching job in California, a long way from the family farm in Michigan. So how do you think she was feeling about moving to California? How do we think she felt about moving to California? Clementino.
Nervous?
Why do you think she was nervous?
Because she could meet other kids.
Okay, so she would have to meet new people. Fernando, do you think that she was feeling different?
Yeah.
How do you think she was feeling?
I think she was feeling nervous and shy because if she goes to another school, she won't still know how to read.
Does anybody think she might be feeling excited maybe?
Yeah.
Why do you think, Carlos, why do you think she'd be feeling excited?
Probably because her friends, so they could stop laughing about her.
Alright, Renata.
Or maybe because so maybe it's because she's excited because students won't know that she doesn't know how to read.
Ah, exactly. If people were making fun of you at a school for a couple of years, and then your mom goes, alright, we're going to move you to a different school, wouldn't you feel kind of happy because the people that were making fun of you aren't going to be at your new school anymore? And maybe the people there will be nicer to you, and maybe then you'll be able to read better. Yes, James.
What if they're meaner?
We'll have to find out. But maybe she's excited because she's getting away from the kids that were mean to her before. So,
Kids that would be nice to her.
Yeah.
so even though her grandma and grandpa were gone, the little girl didn't want to move. Maybe though, the teachers and kids in her new school wouldn't know how dumb she was. She and her mother and brother moved across the country in a two-tone 1949 Plymouth. It took 5 days. That's kind of like me. It took me more than 5 days, or it took me 3 days to drive down to Texas.
Where did you come?
In Connecticut.
You live in Connecticut?
You saw me.
But at the new school, it was the same. When she tried to read, she stumbled over words. The cat ran. She was reading like a baby in the 3rd grade. Right, so not only is she having a hard time reading in front of the class, how do we think she's probably doing on like her tests and stuff? Bad, because if you can't read, then you're going to have a really hard time taking some of your tests. Yeah, well?
I think she's the last one to finish.
Right, she's probably the last one to finish. James?
Mr. Okay, so she might be like actually like behind everybody, and
nobody knows.
they might be like by the time they're finished, she's probably like on the second page.
Right. That's not funny though. Think about how sad that would be that all your classmates are like, oh, this is so, and I know some of us do that. We go, oh, this is so easy. But guess what? There might be somebody in a class that's like Trisha that's like this is really hard and I really don't understand this. But everybody says it's easy, so I must be dumb because I don't think this is easy. So. And when her teacher read along with them and called on Trisha for an answer, she gave the wrong answer every time.
Whoa.
Hey dummy, a boy called out to her on the playground. How come you're so dumb? Other kids stood near her and they laughed. Trisha could feel the tears burning in her eyes.
It burns.
She longed to go back to her grandparents' farm in Michigan. Now, Trisha wanted to go to school less and less. I have a sore throat, she'd say to her mother, or I have a stomach ache. She dreamed more and more and drew more and more, and she hated school. So I keep noticing that she keeps giving all these reasons because like we said, she hates school because she's really far behind, she doesn't know what's happening, all the kids are making fun of her. If all those things were happening when you're in school, would you want to keep going?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Why would you want to keep going, James?
Because if I do it, maybe you might get something ahead of them, and then they might not be able. If they get something at some point they're gonna get something wrong, and they're gonna start do something bad, and then maybe you will start doing good at that.
Oh, so maybe that if she keeps going to school, she'll start to learn more things?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we always tell you that it's super important for you guys to be in school every day, because if you miss one thing, you might start to not understand anything that's happening.
Or ruin your whole second. Like sometimes that thing helps you learn another thing.
Right.
Or it's supposed to.
All eyes up here. Then, when Trisha started 5th grade, the school was all abuzz. There was a new teacher. He was tall and elegant. Everybody loved his striped coat and slick gray pants. He wore the neatest clothes. All the usual teachers' pets gathered around him. Stevie Joe and Alice Marie, Davy and Michael Lee. But right from the start, it didn't seem to matter to Mr. Falker which kids were the cutest, or the smartest, or the best at anything. Yes, Brittany?
I feel like that's your fault.
That's me?
Yeah.
I'm not that tall, though.
He's tall.
Maybe that's Mr. McNally.
Yeah, that's Mr. McNally.
But
He wears the glasses.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, he has glasses. Oh, no, she's saying Mr. Falker doesn't wear glasses.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mr. Falker would stand behind Trisha whenever she was drawing and whisper, "This is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Do you know how talented you are?" When he said this, even the kids who teased her would turn around in their seats and look at her drawings. But they still laughed whenever she gave a wrong answer. Then, one day, she had to stand up and read, which she hated. She was stumbling through a page in Charlotte's Web, and the page was going all fuzzy, when the kids began to laugh out loud.
She needs glasses.
Maybe.
Or yes.
Oh.
Because it's like it looked all fuzzy.
Yeah.
Mr. Falker in his plaid jacket and his butterfly tie said, "Stop. Are all of you so perfect that you can look at another person and find fault with her?" So what Mr. Falker is saying is that nobody's perfect. Everybody has something that they're not great at. And what he's saying is that, is it fair that you're making fun of her because of the one thing she's bad at? She's not making fun of you because of anything that you're bad at. And so it's not that she needs glasses. So, because we've already read the story, we know that the author is the girl, right?
Yeah.
So she has something that's called dyslexia. So what that means is when her brain sees words and numbers on a page, it gets them all scrambled, they don't line up, sometimes they go backwards on her. So it's something that's really hard, it makes it really hard to read and do math. Yes, Diego?
So how did she make this book?
Because she worked and eventually it got better, but it's something that happens in your brain that takes a while.
Is it like a disease that does it?
It's not a disease, it's just something in your brain that.
There is a
Mister, when I look at something too long, it like gets blurry and I
Say,
see
yeah.
Okay, that's a little different.
yeah, that's what happened.
Me too.
Alright. So, okay, so right now, let's stand up. Everybody stand up. Alright, and in 10 seconds, we're going to silently go back to our seats. Make sure we have our line paper and pencil out. Go. Alright, 5, 4, voices off in 3, eyes on me in 2, we should have our pencil in our hand in 1, and 0. I see Anna's ready, Sinai and Heather, Cupertino, Max, still waiting for a couple scholars. David, you can still sit there if you'd like, if it makes it easier for you to stay. Alright. So, the Painter's Studio. So today when we're reading these questions, our answers might not be right in the text. Our answers might not be right in the text. So we're going to have to think a little differently for these. Let's take forward. Alright, and let's make sure we're following along. My brother-in-law Matt is a painter. When you look at his paintings, you feel just like Matt must have felt when he painted them. I asked Matt how he paints such beautiful paintings. Well, Jesse, he said, I put myself into every painting. So that is put myself into every, sorry, not 2, that should be 4. So question for number 4 is, what does that mean when he says he puts himself when he says, well, Jesse, I put myself into every painting, what does that mean? So not what it means at the end of the story, but what does it mean when he's saying it right here? What does it mean when he says, I put myself into every painting? What does it mean when he says he puts himself into every painting? is finished up. Make sure that you have support from the text, if there is any.
Which question did you answer?
Tissue. Alright, and what we're going to do now, please share with your partner what you wrote down. I'm going to call on you and I want you to tell me which of your answers is the best. Alright, so we're going to share with our partner for 30 seconds.
So what he wrote down is that he imagines his painting in his brain. And so if he was to draw a seashore, he will imagine himself in a seashore, maybe with other people, and maybe he will also draw what he sees or what he would most likely see.
Okay, what were you going to say?
Who are you talking about?
The painter,
Does he have a name?
Matt.
Okay. And then, how do you know that that's what he does when he paints?
Because in the paragraph it says I put myself into every painting,
Yeah, I like
so
that. Alright,
that
what did you guys say?
most likely tells me that he is either imagining it in his brain, or maybe he's drawing stuff that he remembers from a long time ago, or from a while.
Cool. Do you know what the big idea of the story is?
Alright, bring it back to me in 5, 4, voices off in 3, eyes on me
Not
in
yet.
2,
How
and
much have you read
1.
so far?
Alright. I'm a lady, would you like to start us off? What did you say? Sorry, can you say that a little bit louder? Okay. Anybody else want to add on to that? Brittany, what would you like to say?
It might mean how he felt when he painted it.
Oh, so what do you mean by how he felt when he painted it?
Because in the story it says that when you look at his painting, he feels just like man must have felt when he painted them.
Exactly. So he put his feelings into his painting. So by putting his feelings into his paintings, it makes it really easy for other people to relate to it. What do you mean, I asked? It all began many years ago, said Matt, and he told me a story. When Matt was learning how to paint, his teacher gave him an assignment. She told him to paint a picture of his studio. What a boring assignment, thought Matt. Matt liked best to paint things that he found very strange and unusual. He painted cities all lit up like a starry sky at night, giant scientific machines, and cactuses he had seen while hiking in the desert. Why would he want to paint a studio where he worked every day? Matt planned on spending the next day painting. He would try to finish the assignment quickly. The sooner I finish, he thought, the sooner I can paint something more exciting. So, he set up his easel and started to paint his studio. He painted the floors, the wall, the lamp, the window, and all the unfinished paintings that were hung up on the wall. I'm almost done, he thought, and it's not even noon yet. But it didn't look quite right. Matt kept painting. The longer he painted, the more he noticed things in his studio he hadn't painted yet. He painted a piece of tape on the wall, a branch outside his window, and a dab of green paint he had spilled on the floor. He even painted a fly that was buzzing around the room and a fleck of dust that was coasting through a sunbeam. It was 5 in the afternoon when he finally paused and wiped his brow. He could tell something was still missing, but he didn't see a single thing he hadn't painted. I must be losing my mind, he thought, but I know there is something I'm forgetting. Suddenly, Matt realized what he had forgotten. He had forgotten to paint the easel his paintings was resting on, the palette with all the different colors of paint he was using, and his paintbrushes. Most importantly, Matt had forgotten to paint himself. Matt painted himself just as he was in real life, standing before the easel, painting. It was long past midnight when something magical happened. The painter Matt had just painted started to move. I am losing my mind. So this is our next one after he says, I am losing my mind. And our question is, why is the text like that? Why is it slanted and a sentence on its own that's not in another paragraph? So why is the text like that? We should be writing this down. I'll give you 45 seconds. All right, I'll give you a minute to write this down. Why is the text like that? Why is it not in a paragraph? Why is it slanted? Why is the text like that? Why is it slanted? Why is the text that way? 15 more seconds to finish up. Why is the text like that? All right, now let's turn and share with our partner what we wrote down. Why is the text like that?
The reason
Why do
I
you think
it's slanted like that, or maybe it's
Big
like
expression.
that because
Right.
I think it's because
Maybe with text.
it's either talking about maybe how he was, what he was thinking when that happened, or how he was remembering what he had said, or what he was
Right.
doing in his mind. So what he was talking to himself, or how he was remembering that.
Remembering what?
Remembering what he was saying and remember what he was seeing during his painting.
So, tell me again, why do you think he said that?
I think he said it was written like that because that was when it was in his, that was what it was in his mind, that's what he was thinking.
So whoever wrote the article, the author, wanted to tell the reader that Matt, the painter,
It was that
in
sentence where it
his
just says,
mind,
I'm losing my
that's what he
mind
thought.
all by itself.
I'm losing my mind.
Where's the third one gonna be?
Right?
At the end.
So that's why you think the author put the words slanted, so that it looks different from the others.
All right. Alright. So I really like Fernando and Anna's answer. So would one of you like to share? Either Fernando? Alright. Fernando, can you share with the class what you told me?
I think it's about something important about the
So there's something important about that sentence. And why would that sentence be important? Why do you think that sentence is important? What's happening when we get to that sentence? Diego, what's happening when we got to that sentence?
I think what's happening is that that's what he's thinking in his mind, or that's what he was remembering when he was seeing what was happening.
Okay, so why are you saying that that's what he's thinking in his mind?
I'm saying that because somewhere, I forgot where, but in the paragraph it had said that he thought maybe he was losing his mind when he was forgetting something, but when he started to see the paintings moving, he really thought he was literally losing his mind and that it slanted.
Alright, Diego just got 100% the perfect answer. So we're going to do the Bomb Diggity chant for him, because we haven't done that in a while, and I want to start doing it again. Okay, ready? We did it earlier, right? Tick, 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 tick. Boom! You're the Bomb Diggity.
Oh, I thought.
Alright, so Diego was right, because he went back in the text. He went back in the text and saw that a couple paragraphs earlier, we had other examples where it was like that, where our text was slanted. And in between where it said that text was slanted, he said, I must be losing my mind, he thought. So what that shows me is that whenever he's thinking in his head, that is when we get our slanted letters. But also Fernando was right too, because it's all by itself, because this is a really important part of our story, because here he's seeing himself in the painting actually paint. Which if you were painting something and you saw the painting starting to move, wouldn't you be a little freaked out?
Yeah, I would kill it. I would just rip the paint.
Yeah.
Boys,
Burn the paint.
that's your greatest
All right.
creation.
Okay. So we have one more place where we're going to stop. The painter in Matt's painting dipped his paintbrush into the paints on the painted palette. Matt watched him spread the paints over the small canvas that was in the painting. In a moment, the painter had painted the same painting Matt had painted in real life. Then, the painter in Matt's painting painted an even smaller easel and an even smaller painter in front of it. Imagine Matt's surprise when the smaller painter that Matt's painter had painted began to paint an even smaller easel in the painting that was in the painting that Matt had painted. And in this tiny painting, there was an even smaller painter who painted an even smaller painting. In that painting, the painter had already started painting an even smaller painting, and in that painting was yet another painter. When I woke up the next morning, Matt told me, the painting was finished. It was the most beautiful painting I've ever made. And I had learned a lesson. So long as I put myself into my paintings will paint themselves. So that's our last question that we're going to have, was number 6 right there. Yes, Jane.
I will show you that. Actually, Mr. It was like this. The painting made the painting. No, the painter made the painting. The painting made the painting. Painter made the painting.
What is the lesson in this story? And how do you know that? What is the lesson in this story and how do you know that? You're gonna have 1 minute to write down your answer. What is the lesson in this story and how do you know that? Go ahead quickly, Fernando. What's the lesson? What is the story trying to teach us? Okay, well, was that the lesson that I was trying to teach us? Okay, what was the lesson? Okay. Let's go back and read this part, because I bet you tell this right. What is the lesson of our story? I see Andrew's writing down his answer. So is Juventino and Hannah. You know what I'm doing? I just see that. What is the lesson in our what is the lesson in our story? What is the lesson in my story? Now you found it? No. So could that be the lesson that they're trying to teach us? The lesson they learned is the lesson they want us to learn. The rest of it. Yeah. So I just checked out in there. I think writing down something coherent, yeah. This is the one that the school wants us to use, so. So this is a house for each subject. So that would be, I do it for questions for this, but for math it would be like GPIE exit ticket. And so like obviously for those where there's like an actual grade attached to it because like there's an actual right answer that they're supposed to be writing down for math. So that would be like check if they got it right, just like a dash if they got it wrong. So